Hi and welcome, it's Jennifer McGuire. Today's video shows how I put together a Color Me card kit. So one of my son's former teachers loves to color, so as a Christmas gift I put together this Color Me card kit. Inside the little bag are envelopes, cards that just need some coloring, and markers. This is a great gift to give to anybody who might like to color, and it allows you to put together a gift quickly using some supplies you have. I do want to say that this was very much inspired by my friend Heather Rui. I will link to her YouTube channel here. She is fantastically clever. She said I could do this and share this with you all. So please check out her blog. She's fantastic. These are surprisingly fast to put together. I created 12 top folding 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch cards. These are from Strathmore Bristol cardstock. It's a nice smooth cardstock that's great for coloring. Now I am using this wonderful stamp set from Honeybee. It has lots of greetings of thanks and thankful and giving and such that you can put together on cards. You can get a bunch of greetings using that one stamp set. I'm going to be using thanks and from the bottom of my heart. Now the thank and the S are separate, so I'm first going to stamp thank along with the greeting underneath it, and then I will come back and do the S. I'm using my Misty stamping tool that's just going to save me a lot of time since we're making 12 cards. However, you could use an acrylic block or other stamp positioner if you have it. I'm just going to stamp this with black ink. You could use any black ink that you know will not bleed with whatever markers you choose to give in your card kit. Now I'm double stamping this just because I like a really black, crisp image, and I'm trying to do these quickly, so I'm not really inking up perfect the first time. I find it faster to double stamp than really be careful to stamp it perfect the first time. So I'm going to go through this and stamp on 6 of the cards these greetings. So 6 of the cards in the kit will be thank you, and 6 will be birthday cards. I know those are 2 that I send out quite a bit, and others seem to also. So once I have the thank and from the bottom of my heart stamped on all of them, I'm going to position the S in my Misty stamping tool, and then I will stamp that S on all of them. The reason the thank and the S are separate here is because that particular stamp set allows you to do a bunch of different greetings. So by having those separate, you can form other words like thank you and thankful. After I did the S on each of them, I added a little heart that I drew by hand with a black pen. You could stamp one, but I couldn't find a little heart. So the way I draw little hearts is to draw 2 little circles and fill them in right next to each other, and then a V below them to connect them. That's the fastest way I've ever found to create a solid heart. I'm not great at drawing, so that's a little trick that works for me and may work for you. Now I want to make these coloring cards that have a lot of coloring since coloring is therapeutic. And this stamp set from Honeybee Designs is fantastic. It's called Zen Garden, and it has this giant image on it that I'm going to stamp towards the top of each of these cards. I did put 2 little marks on my Misty to know where I need to line up my cards each time I stamp them. So I'm positioning this large stamp right towards the top and making sure that it comes down to the greeting but doesn't overlap it. Now, if you don't have a large stamp like this, you could just repeatedly stamp any images, flowers, or anything you want to fill the top of the card. The idea is to have a lot of area for the person to color in to make it super fun. But this stamp is fantastic for this technique. So I'm going to press real firmly because this is a really big stamp. And I'm going to stamp that towards the top of the card with that black ink. You can double stamp it if you want, but I decided not to. So I'm creating 6 of these thanks cards with this large floral arrangement on the top. And you can see these are fast to put together, especially since part of the gift is that they get to color it themselves. So it really doesn't take long at all. Now the other 6 are going to say, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So I am arranging the happiest. This is from another greeting set from Honeybee Designs where it has a bunch of different ways you can put together greetings. So I'm forming my own. Now I put my card into my Misty, and I didn't want to get any ink on the card as I'm arranging the stamps. So that's why I put that plastic grid paper that you see. I put that on top of my card that protects my card as I arrange the stamps, and it also allows me to use those grid lines to make sure that I'm lining up my sentiments straight. So you can either buy or print your own grid lines to create on a transparency like this. I just bought mine from Simon Says Stamp, and it's really helpful in lining up greetings like this. So check it out. I'm ending up with a great greeting that says, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. And again, those honeybee stamp sets are great because you can form a lot of different greetings from the one set. Now, using another set from Honeybee, I have 3 little like feathers, or you could use them, I guess, as leaves if you wanted to. And I am going to stamp these repeatedly to fill in the area around that sentiment. So I've mounted 3 of the feathers at once, and I'm double stamping them. And then I'm just going to keep moving and stamping them on all 6 of the cards. Here I'm stamping along the bottom by flipping my card upside down in my MISTI. So this takes a little bit of time to stamp because you're repeatedly stamping, but you're not doing any coloring, so they don't take that long at all. Now that we have the cards stamped, let me show you what I put in this Color Me card kit. I want to include some markers, but I don't need to include a whole set. So what I do is I buy a large set, and from a large set, I create 2 or 3 collections to put in 2 or 3 different card kits. These are Zig markers. These are not the clean color real brush pens that you've seen before, but I think it's like the same formulation, but in a regular marker. And there are 2 different tips on it, but neither of them are brush tip. But I like to use these for coloring in like those adult coloring books that you can find. So I thought they would be good to include in these Color Me card kits. What I do is I spread them out in rainbow order. Then I take like every other one and put those into one card kit and then the others into another. That gives you a nice like mix variety of colors. I will link to a couple of marker brands that I find are a good price for projects like this. I'll link to those below, but really you could use any kind of markers. You're not looking for anything fancy here, just something that is a nice quality marker at a lower price point so that this can make a nice gift. Now, I decided to go ahead and color one of them. I thought it'd be fun to have one of them colored kind of as an inspiration to stick into the kit, and I also wanted to show you what it looks like to have them colored. You probably don't need to color one for the kit if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. Now, since we used the Strathmore Bristol cardstock, it's very smooth, so you can actually kind of blend these colors together. What I like to do is put a darker color down first and then overlap it with a lighter color, and you can actually get a bit of blending with these. It's not like you're doing watercolor or Copic markers or anything, but it does give you a little bit of room to have that blending of color. I really like this cardstock, and it's really forgiving with coloring, so it's a great choice for these color card kits. So there is a card that I created, just did some coloring on it, very therapeutic if I might add. So I'm going to include that one in the kit, and the rest I'm going to leave uncolored. I also am including some Simon Says Stamp silver metallic envelopes, just like these. These are one of my favorite envelopes. So I'm going to include 12 of those in the kit along with the 12 note cards. If you want to, you could include the postage on these, and you could also do the return address for the person if you wanted to, but I decided to skip that. So I'm going to take these and put them into a little bag. Now, normally I use like a clear box for my cards, but I wanted something that would hold the cards, the envelopes, and the markers. So I'm using this little pouch that I got from 31 Gifts. It just happened to be a great size for these kind of kits. I'll link to what I use below. But in there, I can tuck everything I want. It's the perfect size, and it's a cute little bag. I especially like the black with white polka dots. I think it makes kind of ties in nicely with the black and white cards inside. Now, I did want to include kind of like an instruction on this. So I just printed on my computer a little Color Me card kit little tag to put on it that describes what they can do. But I wanted it to be matted on something that was very colorful. I could have stamped the flowers and colored them in and then put that on the message on top of it. But instead I decided to do kind of a rainbow on the background. So what I did is I cut a piece of the white cardstock to be slightly bigger than that little message that you see there on the top left. And I'm just scribbling some color on the outside edge and doing a little bit of blending with those markers, as I mentioned that you can do. So now when I put that message in the center, that little rainbow will peek out the sides. This just seemed to be a fast way to kind of tie the tag together with what is inside of the card kit. Now I can glue my little message on top of it and trim any excess off that I want to, and punch a hole towards the top so I can create a tag. You could use a die cut tag or whatever you want, but this seemed to be the fastest for me, and I wanted to be able to print out a few of these because I plan to make several of these sets as Christmas gifts. So now I'm just going to tie the little tag onto the bag with some silver thread. You could use a fancy ribbon if you wanted to. So this is a great way to kind of stretch your supplies to create a gift. You could use stamps that you have to create a black and white background, grab a handful of markers that you can include as a gift, and really the only cost of the gift then is the markers and whatever you hold the little Color Me card kit in together. You can use supplies you have on hand. Now, I'll tell you that Honeybee Designs Zen Garden Stamp Set, that big floral one, is perfect for this. So I'm going to be creating more with that stamp set. And I'll probably do another set that has a bunch of different sentiments, including sympathy, thank you, birthday, everything, and give those to my mom and mother-in-law for Christmas. So this is just a great way to stretch your supplies during the holiday season to create some gifts. I hope it inspires you. A big thank you to Heather for letting me share this idea with you. I will link to her blog and YouTube channel to check out. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.